Must be time for Not Your Average Gringo. Hey, what's up, friends and foreigners? I'm Rafael Di Furia, aka Rafi D is me, and I'm not your average lumberjack today. And in this week's installment, we are going to be talking about staying connected while in Italy, whether here for just a short trip or if you're planning to move here. But before we get into this, if you want to see more content like this video, be sure to click the subscribe button below with the notification bell turned on and hit the like, it helps the channel. And if you have the notification bell turned on, you'll get notified of when more content like this comes out. But on to the video. While many people go abroad to disconnect from the world, there are the rest of us which need to stay connected either because of work or because we want to be connected to our friends and family back in the old country. And while you do have options like renting a pocket Wi-Fi or renting a phone while you're here, in my personal opinion, it's the best if you can just get a SIM card. And for those of you thinking that, oh, I'll just connect to Wi-Fi while I'm there, well, Wi-Fi isn't as abundantly found here as you might find back in the US or Canada. And in many Airbnbs and hotels, the connection is wonky, to put it nicely. However, in Italy, you will be very lucky to find that there is no shortage of mobile providers here. And you really don't have to worry. Although maybe you should worry that there are actually too many options. Also, if you're from the US and thinking that you can just get a burner phone while you're out here, that option doesn't really exist. You do have similarly priced options, however, kinda. Also, getting a burner phone in the US, you can be in and out in 2 minutes flat. You pick up the phone off the shelf, you grab the credit off the shelf, you pay for it with cash, done. Doesn't work like that in Italy. Even if you just get a prepaid plan with no contract, you will have a few papers to sign and you will need to show them some ID. And if you're not Italian, that usually comes in the form of a passport. Even if you don't have plans to make calls back to your home country, and even if you're only here for a few days, it can be invaluable to have a connection for Google Maps, finding out about restaurants, finding out about attractions, or if you're traveling with friends, this way you can all stay connected and make plans together. Or maybe you went to the bar last night and exchanged numbers with that cutie on the other side of the room and would like to meet up with her again. Wink, wink. I mean, hey, why not? And another reason why I think it's important is especially if you're going to be staying in hotels or an Airbnb and you can't find the place, if you can't contact the people, it can add so much time and extra hassle. And yes, while you can go ahead and buy a phone out here in Italy, generally the prices in Italy aren't as cheap as they might be in other places, as well as the rest of Europe is not known for being such a cheap place to buy electronics. Although I will say Italy is not as expensive as some places I've been, but on the other hand, services here in Italy are some of the cheapest that I've ever seen. And if you are living here, it is worth considering a contract because sometimes you can get a really, really great deal. And just a quick example, I have a contract which is for €12.50 per month, and that includes 30 gigs of data, 1,000 SMS in and out, and unlimited minutes in Italy. And because of EU legislation, I got that same package even if I travel around the EU. And not only that, but I get an extra SIM card for a tablet or pocket Wi-Fi, whatever. I haven't even used it yet, with an extra 5 gigabytes per month. I've yet to go over any of my caps. But if you want to be able to take advantage of all these great services, you will need a phone for that. And if you are bringing one with you, you will need to make sure that it is unlocked and operates on GSM. And if you don't know whether your phone is locked or unlocked, I would highly recommend going to your mobile phone provider in your country where you are and asking them what the deal is. And in many cases, if you've had the phone for long enough, you can just get it unlocked for free, or you might have to pay off the rest of your phone or pay a little service fee. It depends on the carrier and the country. And if you're coming from the US and on Verizon, you will want to make sure your phone is GSM compatible because there ain't no CDMA out here. So now let's get into what's available. What companies will I find while I'm here? And this is not an endorsement of any of the companies, even though I do have my favorite. And everything I'm going to talk about is based on my own personal experience. As I mentioned before, Italy has plenty of carriers to choose from. The main four, well, technically three, are Telecom Italia, otherwise called TIM, Vodafone. They happen to be a large company that's all around the world. And then you have Wind and Tre. Last year in 2017, they actually merged and now have laid claim to be the largest network across the land. However, in my personal experience, that doesn't mean that they have the best coverage, even though I do happen to like Tre. But for those of you who are going to be spending a bit more time here, there will be a bunch of virtual operators that you will run across all over the place. But just to mention a few of the larger ones, you have Poste Mobile, which is a service provider that is through the Italian Postal Service, and it operates on the WindTre network. Then you have Coop Voice, which operates on the TIM network. But then you have Tiscali, which also operates on the TIM network, and Leica Mobile, which operates on the Vodafone network. But if you don't really speak Italian, and especially if you're looking for a prepaid plan, I would advise that it's probably better to go through one of the major carriers, because if anything is happening, if anything needs to be fixed, you can just go straight to the store. They have stores all over the place. Another reason why I want to focus on the major carriers is because more often than not, they have prepaid plans for not that much. Sometimes you can find them around 10 euros or so, and these plans can have minutes to landlines in about 50 or 60 countries, and generally, yes, that does include North America. So it can make it much easier when trying to stay in contact with family back at home instead of having to rely on a data connection like Skype, which on mobile, depending where you are, isn't always the best option. And when I first moved to Italy, I got a package through TIM that it was great, but I've got some reasons why I probably will never go back to that company again, at least not in the near future. One thing that's really great about getting service in Italy, in basically any EU country, is that whatever service you get, you can use that same service the way you would in that country abroad for short periods of travel. It's not supposed to be a replacement for long periods, like you live in one country but you have service from another. That's not how it works. And also, if you're abroad for too long, it can be a little tricky to refill your phone with credit. But Rafi, you may ask, which is the best carrier? Which one should I choose? Which one is the cheapest? And which one has the best coverage? And which ones have the best prices? And so many questions. Which one is the best is a bit subjective, depending on what your needs are. Do you need minutes? Do you need data? Do you need 4G LTE? Do you need minutes abroad? What is it that you need? Firstly, let's start off with price. One thing that's pretty universal to all of the companies is that the prices that you see online and the prices that you get in store might be a little bit different. Sometimes the online offers can be better than the in-store, and sometimes the in-store can be better than the online. And if you're only coming here for a quick trip, it doesn't really make sense to get a SIM card online, because depending on where you're gonna be, the dates matching up in the post system, better to just go to a store and get it on the spot. And if you want to find some of the best deals online that they actually have in store, type in the name of the company that you're looking for and the city that you'll be in. And very often you'll find that local stores have their own Facebook pages and will post their special offers that they've got going on. But most of the special offers that they post are for contracts, not for prepaid. And the offers that they have in store will come and go very quickly. A lot of the offers change weekly, sometimes they change monthly, depends on the time of year, holidays, and what's going on. But I'm not telling you to jump on the first offer that you see. And if you are going to be here for a longer time, prices do get better over time, but there will sometimes be offers that you won't see again for a long time, like the offer that I've got for my phone. Although you sometimes can find similar offers, but not as many services included. What I've noticed is that Vodafone usually seems to be the most expensive, with TIM not that far behind, and then a little bit below you've got Wind, and even slightly lower than that you've got Three. But be warned, TIM can charge every fee under the sun. And this was part of my negative experience. And after speaking to other expats, this is something that other people have gone through as well. But I've never had this problem with Tre, and I've never heard about this issue with Vodafone or Wind. Now on to coverage. What I heard was that Vodafone was supposed to have had the largest network in the country, but after the whole merger between Wind and Tre, that may or may not still be true, but I have heard that they have amazing coverage all over the place, and they are supposed to be one of the strongest and fastest networks across the country. And TIM's network is supposed to be slightly behind Vodafone, but I never had access to LTE and could only get up to 4G, and yes, there is a difference between the two. I've actually noticed that Tre actually has a little bit of a faster connection speed, at least in my area. However, TIM does seem to cover more of the area. But with all providers, if having LTE is important to you, you need to make sure that it's a part of your plan. It's becoming less and less common, but there are some packages still out there where LTE is behind a paywall, sometimes maybe only €2 extra per month. But with most plans, it's now included, but better to just make sure just in case. And what I could recommend is that if you have a little bit of time, just take an hour one afternoon while you're here and go into the city center of where you are or any commercial center, and you should easily be able to find a store from one of these companies and price compare between them, because sometimes one company will have a much better deal than any of the other companies. And a quick side note for those of you who are going to be here for longer term, if you get a number with one mobile company and you want to keep that number but switch to another company, keep in mind it will take at least a few days for that switch to occur. And yes, weekends can extend that period of time. However, there is one other option which we haven't really talked about, and it's not that I can't recommend it, but it's not that I would totally recommend it either, because it depends on the service provider you have back home if you're only here on a trip. But there are some companies now which, if you pay them a little bit extra per month, and that will give you access to the services while you're here in Italy. But sometimes those services using roaming abroad, they don't always work as fast. And I had the experience when I first came here that my mobile provider, it gave me minutes and data to use while here, but the data was so slow, it was really unusable. But it depends on your provider and who they're partnered with. And you might find that it actually costs less just to get a SIM card while you're here, and this way, if anything happens while you're here, you just pop over to the store. I'm not going to recommend Tre to anybody. However, they've unofficially got that not your average gringo seal of approval, because I've personally yet to have any kind of real issues with them other than maybe a little bit of coverage, but that's because I live in a small area. But if you're in any major city, you should be completely fine. But for those of you who are coming here for a longer period of time, there are a few things which you will need if you want a contract because of the better pricing. The first thing that they'll want is your permesso di soggiorno or your passport. The next thing will be your codice fiscale. And the final thing is an Italian bank account, because they want to be able to have access. But anyway, I hope that this has helped at least a few of you out there. And if there are any of you that are already here in Italy, feel free to leave any of your experiences or any recommendations down in the comment section below here on YouTube. And if you are thinking about coming here and have any questions, or you're already here and have questions, this is an open conversation, so feel free to leave comments down below. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this, and be sure to click the notification bell so that you can be notified of when my next video comes out. And as always, I'm Rafael Di Furia, aka Rafi D is me, and I'm not your average gringo. And I'll see y'all next time. Later.